know I've touched on this a lot over the past, 3.5 years, but it's crazy how both low the skill floor is, but also how high the skill ceiling is.
That
Like
makes sense. I think
the bar is very low to entry, and it's a very high skill ceiling to master. Easy to
yeah,
play, hard to master, I guess is what I would say.
that makes sense because I think the only people who I know who don't like prefer Kingdom Hearts 2 versus say Kingdom Hearts 1 are the people who just mash X.
Yeah,
So the people who aren't
and like
actually
and
exploring the combat, which might be
right,
something that
and
I
like you
struggle
can you
with.
can absolutely like mash X through like even to some extent on proud mode, but crit, no, you can't do that at all, or you will get destroyed.
Unfortunately, I'm not a good enough gamer to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
I was just playing another Grab's Treasure yesterday, which is like a kids looking Souls like, except it's really hard too. So
Hmm.
like I was
Right.
expecting it to be a tiny bit easier, kind of like Kena Bridge of Spirits is a little bit easier.
Hmm.
No.
No.
No, it's just as hard as Souls.
Right.
People are like, it's a Souls game for kids. It's like, no,
No.
no,
It's just
absolutely
trying to
not.
trick you,
I played like
trying to throw you for a loop.
5 hours or something like that yesterday, and it was kind of a struggle at points. Like one of the bosses wasn't too bad. Um, one of the bosses was kind of in between. The elite enemies are a pain in the butt.
Hmm.
So like just the bigger ones with more health are a pain in the butt. But like the first boss, ain't no kid beating that. There's zero chance. I can't even find a difficulty option. So I think it's like it takes that Souls philosophy. You're just stuck with whatever the
A
difficulty
good,
is.
a good scrub.
Exactly. So that first boss was like, there's zero chance any kid would beat this. Like maybe a teenager who put themselves to it, but no
Hmm.
kid is going to beat
Right.
this boss. Like there's zero chance of it.
Hmm.
Welcome to my Kingdom Hearts Let's Play, but this time around it's not just me talking into a poor microphone with bad audio balancing from 4 years ago. This is a newer Let's Play, and I'm joined by Josh, my resident question mark Kingdom Hearts expert, who's been hounding me to finally play this game for like 4 years. So say hello,
I know we're
Josh.
finally getting around to it. Hello.
Anything you want to say or introduce? You remember how you got me into the series, right?
I did. I mean, basically by telling you it was good and begging you to play it.
I mean,
Pretty much.
yeah, as a quick like 5 word summary, that's basically what it was. So it was 2020. You were replaying through basically all the games, weren't you, to get up to Kingdom Hearts 3 or something?
Yeah. I'd wanted to pick up KH3 at release, obviously, because I'd been waiting on it for years, but I couldn't because I didn't have a PS4. So when I finally got a PS4, I decided that I might as well go back and replay the rest of the series before I play KH3 because I had never played the re-releases or any of the final mix versions of the games that have a final mix version. So I decided to just go back and replay the whole series, which I was like, hey, you should play these. They're good.
And see, this coincides with Josh and I became friends in like middle of 2018 technically. We didn't start talking a little bit more frequently until later that year since we both had knee problems going on. And
Yeah.
then 2019, late 2019 was I think when we really started talking a lot. And then 2020 of course was probably like the peak. Every
Mhm.
day for a lot of the day, just suffering through school and college respectively between me and you.
Yeah.
And
Suffering is an apt word.
yeah, it was truly suffering for both of us, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, during that process, Josh, like he said, was basically replaying through all the games. So plenty of the discussion was him talking about random parts of the games and being like, you should play these. And so I ended up buying them, getting them, the collections or whatever. The only part of Kingdom Hearts that I think I don't own yet is the Remind DLC for KH3. Everything else I
Mhm.
own. And I played part of the first game and kind of stopped, like, I don't remember, somewhere like 5 to 10 hours in, if I were to guess. Uh, it was at the end of Atlantis, I believe, was approximately where I stopped playing the first time. And then I came back to it a few months later and actually gave it a fairer shot and played through the whole thing as a Let's Play, which is on this channel now as a re-upload from my Let's Play back in 2020. Terrible quality. I don't recommend you go watch it. Um, and then after that, I tried playing Chain of Memories. This is where my my relationship with Kingdom Hearts gets a little complicated, for lack of a better term, because I tried playing Chain of Memories, which of course is kind of a weird gameplay concept. You can try to explain that if you will, because I'm not going to try to butcher that.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing about Chain of Memories in general, but also the remake is that it's kind of a card. It's a real time card based combat system. Um, basically you and your opponent have a deck, and you every command in the game is a card. And basically it's basically war. Higher value wins. Um, the remake basically made it 3D. A lot of people say the original version is arguably better because it was made for a handheld, and so you can't take handheld game elements and put them on a console game and expect it to work. So a lot of people say the original version is better. I played both. I don't really know which I prefer, honestly.
Yeah, I just know that when I tried, basically I gave it a fair shot because I wasn't really liking the combat system at the
Mhm.
start, but I at least tried to get through the first world and get through Axel as the first boss, right?
Yeah,
The boss at the end of the world.
it's a good system on paper. It's just the problem is that so much of the game is based around RNG. Like if you don't have the right map card you need to progress, you literally have to grind to get it. And I mean, who knows how many enemy counters you have to go through to get that card you need, because some rooms that you need to make to progress, they need a very specific card. And if you don't have that card, you just have to grind for it.
Yeah, and
So,
that's a little annoying, but even just the combat itself, I found a little bit difficult to grasp. I never
mm,
actually beat Axel as a boss. I got really frustrated after a few hours because I just wasn't able to get used to the combat. So we kind of reconciled, and Josh and I instead watched the basically cutscene movie of the game instead from YouTube, both Sora's side and Riku's side, and we did those, and those are let's plays, more like let's watches on the channel as
right.
well, where we just watched through and kind of discussed some of those revelations and some of the story beats so that I could play Kingdom Hearts 2. So I haven't played Chain of Memories, but I have experienced the story elements of it to some degree, and I think I'll let Josh give us a short little Spark Notes wrap up of the story so far before we jump in, and we can expect details later. It's fine. I just kind of need a little bit of a refresher. It's been like 3.5 years since we did the Chain of Memories thing. So,
Right. And I mean, honestly, like in your defense, I kind of understand why you don't remember it, because as opposed to KH1, you only spent like, you know, what, 3 hours with Chain of Memories?
I think I think 4 hours is the length of the cutscene movie or something like
Yeah,
that.
give or take.
So
So
I
I
think
kind of
those
understand
two
why you,
videos combined are like five or maybe
yeah.
6 hours. So they're, yeah, not very much time. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 1, I've spent partial playthrough, a full playthrough, and then
Mhm.
I've also watched some playthroughs of from other people as well. So I've pretty familiar with one, but not so much with Chain of Memories at all.
Yeah. So I get it. So anyway, I'll try and kind of keep this as brief as I can. So basically, Sora, Donald, and Goofy, kind of after the events of KH1, they're kind of in this like kind of world between worlds almost, and they're kind of just kind of going along, just looking for Riku and King Mickey, um, and they kind of run into this hooded figure. He says some cryptic mumbo jumbo, uh, and then they kind of find slash get lured into this castle. It's called Castle Oblivion, and they kind of discover that kind of as they go up this castle, they kind of lose all of their memories of KH1, and I guess probably everything that happens before KH1 as well. It's not really clear on that. But kind of as he ascends the castle, he kind of discovers this girl that used to live on the islands that we never see in KH1 called Namine. Um, and we kind of discover kind of late into the adventure that Naminé, Sora and Naminé don't actually know each other. That Naminé is really just this witch who has the power to control Sora's memories as well as the memories of those around him, and we'll kind of discover the reason for that in KH2. Um, and so, kind of after all that, and also I should mention during this, throughout the game, Sora meets these people in black cloaks. They have goals that at this point in the series we haven't found that out yet what their goals are, but we will in KH2. Um,
Do we know
so
yet, as of Chain of Memories, that they're called Organization 13? Because I
yes,
know
we
at
do.
least that. Okay, I was gonna say
They're
I know
in
at least the
so
name.
in Yeah. So in Enchanted Memories, and this is the only game they're ever called that, they're referred to as the organization, and then in every game after that, they're called Organization 13.
Okay,
Because in
gotcha.
Enchanted Memories, we don't know that they're 13 members. We only found that out in
Fair
KH2.
enough. So that's just a
Anyway,
little bit more of my meta
yeah,
context kind of
right.
soaking in there. I know like little
So
tiny bits and pieces of
yeah,
other lore.
and so about halfway through Sora's journey, he also runs into Riku. He runs into him several times, and then towards the end, we find out that Riku is actually just a replica created by one of the members of the organization.
I forgot about that part actually.
Yeah,
So that's a good point to bring up. That's probably an
yeah,
important thing to know.
yeah. So we actually find out that Riku is a replica. Um, um, and so and throughout the game, Sora kills pretty much everybody except Axel. He survives. Um, and so eventually, Sora either has the decision. Um, he has to go to, well, I guess he doesn't have to go to sleep, but he has the decision of either going to sleep and forgetting everything that's happened at the castle and regaining his old memories, or keeping the memories that he has and forgetting his old ones. And he decides the former. And so for the past year, he's been asleep in a pod. Um, and that's kind of his current state as of KH2. He's still asleep, regaining his memories. Uh, and so in Riku's case, at the beginning of Chain of Memories, he's still stuck in the realm of darkness, and he kind of hears this mysterious voice that allows him to get out, and he ends up in the basement of Castle Oblivion. And so he basically makes his way up to the top floor throughout the game, also running into members of the organization as well as the Riku replica that Vexen created. And kind of throughout the game, um, Riku replica and the organization members, they kind of poke and prod and kind of toy with Riku about using his darkness, and he refuses because Riku still has Ansem is still in Riku's heart at this point in the series. He's dormant essentially. He's still there, and Riku can call on that power if he wants to, but he's choosing not to at this point. Um, and so towards the end of the game, um, Naminé essentially convinces Riku that um, I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head, but like basically that I don't know, darkness isn't all bad. Essentially, I
Mm.
guess is what I'll say. Um,
Embrace the darkness.
yeah. So he essentially does embrace his dark powers.
Encourages him to
And
become the true edge lord that he always knew he was.
yeah. Um, so he essentially uses his powers of darkness to defeat one of the organization members. Um, and eventually Riku finds Naminé and finds Sora taking a nap because, of course, um, and he decides not to go to sleep and to face Ansem himself. And so he does, defeats him. And at this point, Ansem is still dormant in his heart. Um, and so Riku essentially decides neither to take um, a path when he leaves Castle Oblivion. He has either the choice of taking um, essentially a light road or a dark road, and he essentially takes the middle path, which he calls the road to dawn. And that's kind of where we're at currently. So
I didn't remember that part of Riku's story.
yeah, that's at the very end. He also meets this character called Diz, who we'll be seeing today again. Um, he meets a character called Diz, who has kind of been helping Riku kind of throughout his journey in Chain Memories. Um, he is kind of, I don't know, he's kind of working for himself right now. We'll kind of learn some more about him today. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I think.
Okay. Good to know because yeah, that material, most of it I didn't really have forefront of mind. Basically, all I could remember from Chain of Memories off the top of my head was basically Naminé as a character, even though I didn't remember her name, and
Mhm.
some of the broad strokes of Sora's storyline. That was basically all I remembered. Because just thinking about it, sometimes I even forgot that there was a Riku storyline in there. So
Mhm.
that's a little helpful, I suppose. Just a wee bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So,
it's good because both characters get character development. So
alrighty, well,